The stronger your mind, the stronger your future. Build it daily. Small steps in learning each day become unstoppable momentum over time. Winning in life is earned by the quiet work no one sees. Daily education. What if the reason you're stuck is because you're not learning enough? What if the only thing standing between the life you want and the life you have is what you don't know yet? What if you could train your mind to grow every single day just by doing a few simple things that most people ignore? Think about it. You go through the day reacting, handling problems, rushing from one thing to the next. But are you getting better? Are you really growing? Or are you just busy? Education doesn't end in school. Real learning begins when you decide to take control of it. Daily learning isn't optional if you want to succeed. It's essential. It sharpens your mind, expands your thinking, and sets you apart. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how to educate yourself daily in practical, powerful ways that can change your life. Now let's dive in. Number 1, read one book every week without missing any day. You want to win in life? You want to become stronger, smarter, more valuable in the marketplace? Then you have to make a decision that most people will never make. Read one book every week without missing any day. You do that, and you'll separate yourself from 99% of the world. Life doesn't respond to wishes or hope. Life responds to value. And you cannot offer value if you don't build it inside yourself first. Reading is not a hobby. It's not for when you feel bored. Reading is a daily discipline. It's an investment into who you are becoming. And the return is more than money. It's strength of mind. It's clarity. It's answers. It's confidence. It's knowing something today that you didn't know yesterday. Most people wake up and spend their entire day reacting. They scroll through their phones. They complain about work. They go through routines that bring no growth. Then at night they wonder why they feel empty. But you must live differently. You must wake up with purpose. You must decide that each day is your chance to become more. And one of the best ways to fill your mind is to open a book. When you read a book, you're learning from someone else's experience. That's their failures, their lessons, their solutions, their breakthroughs, all written down and given to you. You don't have to fall into the same holes they did. You don't have to repeat the same mistakes. You can get ahead by learning what they went through. Reading builds your focus. It sharpens your thinking. It strengthens your ability to sit still and absorb information. And in a noisy world where attention is scattered and shallow, the person who reads becomes strong. Strong in their mind. Strong in their choices. Strong in their direction. You don't need to be the fastest reader. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be consistent. Maybe you only read 10 pages today, but those 10 pages matter. That small effort, done every single day, adds up. It compounds. And over time you become sharper than you were. You understand things you didn't before. You think faster. You make better decisions. That's the reward for staying consistent. Most people will say they don't have time. That's not true. They have time. They just waste it. You don't need 3 hours to read. You need 15 minutes here and 15 minutes there. You can read while waiting. You can read during lunch. You can read before bed. Carry a book with you. Make it part of your life. Use the little spaces in your day that most people throw away. And something happens when you read daily. Your thinking changes. You no longer see the world the same way. You stop reacting emotionally to every problem. You start to observe more. You start to ask better questions. You speak more clearly. You understand people better. You move differently. You start to look ahead instead of looking back. I remember when I was lost. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have clarity. I felt stuck. But then someone handed me a book. I read it. That one book gave me one idea. That idea gave me direction. Then I read another book. That one gave me a new strategy. Then a third. That gave me a challenge. And from that point on, I never stopped. I built a habit. And that habit built me. That's the beauty of reading. One idea can shift your whole life. One thought can break years of confusion. One principle can build your foundation, but it only happens if you show up every day to feed your mind. You cannot do it once in a while. You cannot do it when you feel like it. You have to make it part of who you are. Reading is not a race. You don't need to read 100 books just to say you did. You need to read with intention. You need to take in what's useful and apply it, even if only one idea sticks with you. From each book, that's 52 new insights every year. 52 new tools. 52 ways to solve problems better and live smarter. Pick books that match where you want to go. Pick books that challenge your habits. Pick books that show you how to build discipline. Read books about your field. Read books about human behavior. Read books that teach you about finances, leadership, communication, health, history. The more you learn, the more you understand how the world works. And the more you understand, the more equipped you are to win. And when you read, don't just finish the book and forget it. Write down the best lessons. Reflect on what hit you the hardest. Think about how to apply it today, not someday. Today. That's how knowledge turns into action. That's how action becomes progress. That's how progress becomes confidence. Everybody wants to be confident, but few are willing to earn it. Confidence comes when you've built something inside yourself, when you've trained your mind, when you've disciplined your thoughts. Reading is part of that training. It makes you sharper in meetings. It makes you wiser in conversations. It makes you stronger in hard moments. And it gives you the words when others don't know what to say. When life throws a problem at you and you've been reading every day for months, you'll find the solution already inside you. You'll have the mental strength to handle it. You'll have the perspective to stay calm. You'll have the knowledge to act with purpose. That's what daily reading gives you. Quiet strength. And here's the truth. You are not the same person after 1 year of reading a book every week. You can't be. Your mind has changed. Your thoughts are deeper. Your decisions are more informed. Your actions are more powerful. And that change will show up in every area of your life. In your work. In your health. In your relationships. In your goals. Every time you read, you are choosing to rise above average. You are choosing to invest in yourself. You are choosing to stop living on autopilot. And that choice builds character. That choice builds vision. That choice builds a life that is guided by growth, not by luck. So make that decision now. Read every day. Read with purpose. Read with urgency. Don't let the day end without feeding your mind. Don't make excuses. Make it a rule. 1 book a week. No gaps. No breaks. Make it a part of who you are. Because who you become depends on what you put inside you. And reading is the most powerful way to put the right things in. Pick up the book. Do it today. Read it again tomorrow. Finish it by the end of the week. Then pick up the next one. And the next. And keep going. Keep learning. Keep growing. Keep getting better. The mind you build will lead the life you want. 1 book at a time. Every week. No excuses. Every day. Show up. Turn the page. Number 2. Listen to one educational podcast every single morning. Winning in life doesn't happen by accident. It's not based on how lucky you are or how talented you were born. It's about who's willing to grow on purpose every day with full awareness. One of the most powerful ways to shape your growth is to listen to one educational podcast every single morning. That choice, done daily, sharpens your thinking, deepens your knowledge, and brings your goals closer. It doesn't take hours. It takes intention. That first hour after you wake up sets the tone for your entire day. You can either start with distractions or you can start with direction. An educational podcast every morning gives your mind a reason to wake up alert and focused. While others are dragging themselves into their day with noise and stress, you're filling your head with ideas, strategies, lessons, and motivation that make you more equipped to handle what's coming. What you listen to shapes how you think, and how you think shapes how you act. If your thoughts are sharp, your actions become strong. That's why it's not just about what you do with your body in the morning. It's about what you feed your mind. There are people out there who have walked paths you haven't yet. They've built companies, they've overcome setbacks, They've studied human behavior. They've mastered skills, and many of them are sharing that knowledge in their own voice for free. You don't need a plane ticket to learn from them. You just need to press play. While you brush your teeth, while you eat breakfast, while you commute to work, your ears are open. Use that time. Make it matter. Podcasts have a special power. When you hear a voice teaching you something meaningful, it connects differently. It's personal. It's direct. It feels like you're being mentored. And in a world where real mentorship is rare, this is how you build your own guidance system. You become your own coach. You decide that your day doesn't begin until your mind has been filled with something valuable. The beauty of this habit is that it's easy to begin. You don't need to prepare much. You don't need to set aside big chunks of time. You just need to choose the right content. That's the key. Not everything out there deserves your attention. You need to be selective. Pick podcasts that challenge the way you see things. Choose topics that build your career, your mindset, your relationships, your discipline, your focus. You don't need entertainment in the morning. You need education. You don't need distraction. You need clarity. There's something powerful about learning something before the rest of the world wakes up. It gives you an edge. You walk into the day with something new already in your pocket. Maybe it's a fresh perspective. Maybe it's a simple technique. Maybe it's a story that reminded you of what you're capable of. But that one piece of information can make a huge difference in how you show up that day. This is about starting the day with intention. Not noise, not confusion, not stress, but clarity, focus, direction. And podcasts are one of the fastest and easiest ways to get there. You can even listen while doing other things. That's the beauty of it. You don't have to choose between movement and learning. You can do both. And when you pair them together, you train both the body and the mind to be active from the start. The people who win in life are not necessarily the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who grow the most. They're the ones who learn daily, think clearly, and act with wisdom. They don't leave their development to chance. They design it. They choose what goes into their head first thing in the morning. They build mental strength before the challenges come. One lesson in one morning can change how you deal with people. One story can change how you handle pressure. One insight can change the way you lead your team. And when you multiply that by every single morning, the results are impossible to ignore. You are simply not the same person anymore. You've raised your standard. You've raised your awareness. You've built a habit that gives you something powerful every day. When you listen with full focus, you train yourself to become more attentive. You begin to notice patterns in speech, ideas that repeat, phrases that impact you. And the more you listen, the more you start to apply. You take those lessons and they begin to guide your actions. And as your actions improve, your results improve. This isn't magic. It's structure. You built a system where growth is automatic. It doesn't rely on how you feel. It relies on what you decided. Some people wait for motivation to come to them, but you create it. You begin your day with it. You wake up and you walk into knowledge. That's the kind of person who doesn't wait for things to get better. They make things better, and they do it with consistency. The kind of consistency that makes success not just possible but likely. When you hear new ideas regularly, you start asking better questions. You stop wasting time on problems that don't matter. You focus on what you can control. You stop chasing shortcuts. You build long-term strength, and that strength becomes visible. It shows in how you speak. It shows in how you carry yourself. It shows in how you respond when things don't go your way. Podcasts also bring variety to your thinking. One day you might hear about building habits. The next day about leadership. Another day about how the brain works. Another about how to overcome fear. This variety keeps your mind fresh. It makes you more flexible. It gives you a wider set of tools. And the more tools you have, the more problems you can solve. You don't need to memorize everything you hear. That's not the point. The point is exposure. The point is repetition. The point is planting seeds in your mind every morning that grow into better thoughts, better choices, better behavior. And over time, those small daily inputs add up to massive transformation. Every morning is a chance to grow, a chance to become wiser than yesterday, a chance to get closer to the life you want. If you waste the morning, the rest of the day follows that same pattern. But if you own the morning, you step into the rest of the day with power. It's easy to think one episode won't matter, but that's a mistake. That's how people stay the same for years. One morning matters. One choice matters. The person you want to become is built one piece at a time. And the earlier you begin, the more time you have to build. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a phone, an internet connection, and a commitment. That's it. Every morning hit play. Not just to feel good, but to learn, to grow, to challenge your mind, to prepare yourself for what's coming. And when you do it daily, it becomes who you are. You're no longer just reacting to life. You're designing it, with discipline, with purpose, with knowledge that gives you the edge every single day.
Number 3. Write down one lesson you learned before sleeping. Growth doesn't just happen when you're busy during the day. Some of the most important moments for self-development happen when the world gets quiet, when the noise fades, and when you have a chance to reflect. Writing down one lesson before sleeping is one of the most powerful habits a person can build. It gives you the chance to capture something real, something useful, something meaningful before your day ends. It forces you to look back, to think, to ask what the day taught you, and to make sure that nothing you went through was wasted. Most people rush through their day and then collapse at night, exhausted, overwhelmed, distracted. But if you want to live with intention, if you want to improve who you are each day, then you have to take responsibility for how your day ends. You must slow down long enough to ask yourself, what did I learn today? What experience taught me something new? What mistake showed me how to do better? What conversation gave me clarity? The answer to those questions doesn't have to be long. It just has to be honest. Writing one lesson before bed isn't about filling a page. It's about sharpening your awareness. It's about closing the day with a clear mind. It's about finishing your day knowing you've taken something from it. That habit trains your brain to stay alert throughout the day, knowing you'll be held accountable at night. When you know you'll be writing a lesson later, you start noticing lessons more clearly while they're happening. You begin to observe yourself. You think more deeply. You pay closer attention. You live with greater awareness. And when you write it down, not just think about it, but actually write it, you make it real. That pen on paper or those words on a screen, they turn a passing thought into a concrete decision. You are saying, this is what I learned. This is what I understand now. This is something I'll carry with me. And over time, you collect these lessons. You build a personal record of your growth. That record becomes proof of your journey. It becomes a tool you can return to when you forget, when you struggle, when you need to remember how far you've come. You don't need the perfect journal. You don't need a fancy system. All you need is the discipline to stop for a few minutes and write. What challenged you today? What did you handle better than yesterday? What surprised you? What did you wish you had done differently? And most importantly, what will you do with that insight tomorrow? These are the kinds of questions that shape character. They make you stronger, not in theory, but in practice. Because growth isn't found in reading alone. It's found in self-awareness. It's found in the decision to learn from real life. When you write one lesson before bed, you also train your emotions. You train yourself not to carry the stress and frustration of the day into your sleep. You process it. You break it down. You pull the value from it. And that helps you sleep better. You're not tossing and turning with regret or anxiety. You're not overthinking. You're simply putting the day to rest with purpose. And you wake up lighter because of it. Most people repeat the same mistakes because they don't stop to learn from them. They say, I'll do better tomorrow, but they never ask what better actually means. You can't improve if you don't measure. And writing a lesson is a way of measuring your day. It's a way of checking in. Were you patient? Were you distracted? Did you speak clearly? Did you avoid something difficult? Did you face a fear? These answers help you evolve. They show you where to improve. They show you where to keep going. And it doesn't have to be something huge. It could be small. Maybe you learned how to speak up when you didn't feel like it. Maybe you learned that your mind calms down when you walk. Maybe you learned that one poor choice cost you more than you expected. That's still a lesson. That still counts. The goal is not perfection.
The goal is awareness. One small lesson each day builds a powerful bank of knowledge over time. This habit also helps you stay humble. When you end the day by asking what you've learned, you're admitting that you don't know it all. You're saying, I have more to understand. That humility keeps you teachable. It keeps your ego in check. It keeps your heart open. And those qualities are what make a person grow faster than most. Some days you may struggle to find a lesson. You may feel like nothing stood out. But if you look closely, there's always something. There's always a moment when you could have listened better, acted quicker, spoken more kindly, focused more deeply. And sometimes the lesson is simply to slow down, to take a break, to breathe. Even that awareness matters. You don't need to show your notes to anyone. They're not for the world. They're for you. They're a quiet reminder that you are becoming someone better every single night. They remind you that even on hard days you didn't waste it. You squeezed out something meaningful. And over time that habit becomes a mindset. You stop seeing days as random events. You start seeing them as steps, each one building you up, guiding you forward, shaping you into the kind of person who learns quickly and adjusts wisely. People who do this consistently become emotionally resilient. They don't get stuck in regret. They don't repeat the same frustrations. They don't blame others. They reflect. They grow. They act with more clarity the next day. That's the power of one simple lesson written down each night. It gives you control over your evolution. It puts your learning in your hands, not in someone else's. Your future will not be built by the goals you set alone. It will be built by the lessons you live, and the discipline to learn from them. One written lesson every night keeps your progress visible. You see yourself getting better. You feel more aware. You understand yourself more. And that understanding changes the way you approach tomorrow. This habit also strengthens your memory. When you write a lesson, your brain stores it differently. It becomes something you recall faster next time you face a similar situation. And that makes you more prepared. You don't get caught off guard. You've already learned. You've already processed it. You've already grown through it once. When you go weeks and months with this habit, something incredible happens. You realize you've learned more than you thought possible. And not just from books, but from life itself. From your reactions, from your mistakes, from your wins, from your effort. And that turns you into someone who doesn't waste time. Someone who learns fast. Someone who lives with deep purpose. The end of your day should not be a mindless scroll through distractions. It should be a quiet reflection that makes the next day sharper. Writing one lesson is not difficult, but it is rare. Most people won't do it. They think it's too simple, but simplicity is where the strength is. Simple things done with discipline lead to great results. This one habit will sharpen your mind and strengthen your direction. One lesson, one insight, one entry, every night. No excuses, just growth. Real, quiet, powerful growth that builds with every single word you write down. Number 4, watch one inspiring talk that challenges your mindset. The way we think shapes the way we live. It's not about the circumstances. It's not about the opportunities. It's not even about what others are doing. It's about how we decide to think. How we decide to challenge the thoughts that come to our minds, and how we choose to see the world. This is why it's essential to watch one inspiring talk that challenges your mindset and do it regularly. This isn't just a passive activity. This is a powerful habit that fuels your brain with fresh perspectives and forces you to confront your assumptions, your limits, and your beliefs. The power of an inspiring talk is more than just the message itself. It's the way it shakes up your thinking. It takes you out of the familiar and places you into the uncomfortable, where real growth happens. Many people fall into the trap of thinking they already know everything they need to know. They believe that they've reached a level of understanding or success, and they stop pushing their thinking. But the most successful people in the world are the ones who keep challenging themselves, who keep searching for new ideas, and who keep evolving their mindset. An inspiring talk does this for you. It challenges you. It makes you think, what if I'm wrong? What if I've been limiting myself? What if there's a better way? These are the kinds of questions that push you forward. The more you watch talks that stretch your thinking, the more you'll realize how much potential you have left untapped. These talks break the mold of conventional thinking, and that's exactly what you need if you're going to live a life that's different from the average person. You need to challenge your beliefs, push past your comfort zone, and stop accepting limitations that have been ingrained in your mind for years. When you listen to someone who has achieved great things, who has faced struggles and come out stronger, you hear the mindset behind their success. You hear the thoughts that led them to take action. You hear the way they view failure, setbacks, fear, and success. And when you internalize these lessons, it changes how you think about yourself. You begin to see that the only thing holding you back is your own mindset. Watching one inspiring talk every day, or at least several times a week, ensures that your mind stays fresh and open. You don't allow yourself to fall into the trap of complacency. The world is constantly changing, and so are the people who are succeeding in it. If you want to keep up, you need to be constantly learning, constantly reprogramming your mind to be more resilient, more positive, and more focused on the possibilities that exist, rather than the limitations that hold others back. These talks aren't about instant answers. They're about changing the way you think in the long term. They give you a new perspective on obstacles. They teach you how to turn failure into fuel. They show you how to turn small wins into big victories. But most importantly, they challenge you to think bigger than you have ever thought before, because that's where the real growth happens. When you stop thinking small and start thinking about what's truly possible for you, that's when things start to change. When you challenge your mindset through these talks, you begin to see opportunities everywhere. You stop looking at obstacles as roadblocks and start seeing them as stepping stones. The way you think directly influences the way you see the world. If you believe that life is against you, it will be. If you believe that opportunities are limited, they will be. But if you believe that the world is full of possibilities, and that you have the ability to shape your future, that's exactly what you'll see. And the more you hear from people who have made it, who have overcome the odds, who have changed the course of their lives, the more you'll believe that you can do it too. In every inspiring talk, there's a lesson about perseverance, about overcoming adversity, and about pushing through the doubts that naturally arise. You hear about people who were once where you are, feeling stuck, uncertain, or even lost, but they didn't stay there. They didn't give up. They kept going, learning and evolving. This is the power of watching talks that challenge your mindset. They show you that success doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen without struggle. It happens by making the decision to keep going, to keep learning, and to keep growing. You can find these talks anywhere. There are thousands of motivational speakers, thought leaders, and successful people who are more than willing to share their experiences, their mistakes, and their lessons. You can access them for free, through podcasts, YouTube, or social media. The content is out there, waiting for you to take it in. The only question is, are you willing to invest the time and energy into expanding your mind? Are you willing to challenge yourself and learn something new each day? Watching an inspiring talk isn't about just feeling good for a few minutes. It's about taking those lessons and integrating them into your life. It's about shifting your thinking from I can't to I will, and turning your limitations into possibilities. It's about turning every challenge into an opportunity to grow, every failure into a lesson learned, and every setback into motivation to push forward. These talks also give you a sense of community. You hear from people who are out there, doing the work, and facing the same challenges you are. You realize that you're not alone in your struggles. You hear stories of individuals who started with nothing but their will to succeed, and now they're sharing their message with the world. And when you hear their stories, you see yourself in them. You realize that they didn't have something you don't have. They just had the mindset to keep going when things got tough. That's what you need to succeed. And that's what these talks offer, a mindset that empowers you to keep moving forward. It's not enough to just listen though. You must take action. These talks should ignite a fire in you to do something. Maybe it's trying a new approach to your work, changing your habits, or reevaluating how you spend your time. Whatever it is, The talks are meant to motivate you to act. They challenge you to take what you've heard and put it into practice in your own life. Knowledge without action is just information, but knowledge with action leads to transformation. As you watch more and more inspiring talks, you'll notice that your mindset starts to shift. You begin to feel more confident in your ability to face challenges, to solve problems, and to create the life you want. You start believing in yourself and your potential. And that belief, that confidence, becomes your greatest asset. Because when you believe you can, you will. When you believe there are no limits, you start living as though there are none. So make the commitment today. Watch one inspiring talk that challenges your mindset. Let it change the way you think. Let it expand your possibilities. Let it challenge you to take bold action. And let it push you to become the person you're capable of being.
Number 5. Study one new topic that improves your daily life. Every day gives you a chance to grow in a way that actually matters. Not just in theory, not just for some future day, but for now. One of the most powerful habits you can build is to study a new topic that directly improves your life. It could be something about health, finances, relationships, productivity, mindset, or communication. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to make your life better in a clear and useful way. That's where real personal development begins. Not in broad concepts, but in practical learning that improves how you think, how you live, and how you interact with the world. The truth is, most people settle into routines that never change. They do the same things, think the same thoughts, and respond the same way every day. And over time, they stop growing. They become stuck without realizing it. But you have a choice. You don't have to live on autopilot. You can interrupt that routine by choosing to study something new every day, something that will immediately help you. That small act can change your direction and change your results. When you study a topic that improves your daily life, you're not just collecting knowledge, you're adding new tools to your toolbox. Every time you learn a new method, a new idea, or a better strategy, you become more capable. That's where confidence comes from. Knowing that you can handle situations better today than you did yesterday. You don't have to make huge leaps every day, but you do have to keep learning something that moves you forward. That's what separates people who rise from those who stay where they are. If your sleep is poor, study sleep science. If your money is tight, study personal finance. If your time is wasted, study time management. There's no shortage of topics that can lift you higher. And once you start learning them, you start applying them. That's where the real growth happens. You wake up with clarity. You take action with purpose. You avoid the traps that used to hold you back. One day of learning turns into one day of progress, and that progress stacks. The beauty of this habit is that it works fast. Let's say you spend 30 minutes today learning how to improve your focus. You try one idea. Maybe you remove distractions or set a timer. Tomorrow your work is more productive. That one lesson didn't just stay in your mind. It changed your experience. That's the power of studying something that affects your actual day-to-day life. You start to feel the benefits quickly, and once you feel those benefits, you don't want to go back. Now, this isn't about chasing trends or following every new thing you see. This is about being intentional. Ask yourself, what part of my life needs attention right now? Is it my physical energy? Is it how I talk to people? Is it how I deal with stress? Choose a topic that helps you with that area. Keep your learning focused and useful. That's how you make real change. Make it your goal to understand one small idea fully. You don't need to study 10 topics in one day. Just focus on one and absorb it deeply. Take notes. Think about how it applies to you. Ask yourself where you've struggled with it in the past. The deeper you're learning, the more powerful it becomes. And when you understand something well, you can act on it more easily. It's not about how long you study. It's about how present you are while doing it. 10 minutes of focused study beats an hour of distraction. Find a quiet spot. Turn off your phone. Make it your time. Give yourself that space to learn. The world is loud, but your growth happens in quiet moments. The best part is, this habit builds momentum. Once you start seeing how one new idea changes your life, you'll want more. You'll look forward to learning. You'll begin to enjoy the process. You'll start your day with a mindset of curiosity instead of routine. You'll be excited to uncover what you didn't know yesterday. Another benefit is that it makes you more valuable. In your work, in your family, in your community, when you know more, you can give more. You can solve problems faster. You can speak with more clarity. You can handle stress with more control. People notice that. They start to rely on you more. They start to respect you more. Not because you're perfect, but because you're improving. That's what people admire. Consistent effort to grow. Studying something new also humbles you. It reminds you that you don't know everything. That keeps your ego in check. It keeps you open to feedback. It makes you more teachable. And teachability is one of the most underrated strengths you can have. Life gets better when you're willing to be a student again. Let yourself be a beginner every day. Pick a topic that matters and dive in. You'll start to build a life of clarity, not confusion. A life of direction, not distraction. Most people feel stuck, not because they can't move, but because they don't know how. Learning one new thing each day gives you the how. It gives you choices. It gives you power. Sometimes you'll study something and it won't click right away. That's okay. Keep going. Your mind is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the stronger it gets. Not every topic will be exciting, but every topic will teach you something. Stick with it. The results will come. And don't wait until you feel motivated. Don't wait until you have more time. Start now. Find a topic today. Spend a few minutes with it. Then tomorrow do it again. Make it a part of your rhythm. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be consistent. When others are wasting time on distractions, you'll be investing in yourself. When others are complaining, you'll be learning. When others are stuck, you'll be moving forward. That's how you win in the long run. Not by one big move, but by thousands of small decisions to grow. This kind of daily learning keeps your mind sharp. It keeps your energy focused. It keeps your goals alive. You'll notice you're more alert, more thoughtful, and more in control of your day. That creates a quiet confidence in you. Not arrogance, just the deep knowing that you are getting better and that your future is in your hands. You don't need to wait for someone else to teach you. The resources are out there. Books, videos, courses, articles. You have access to more knowledge than any generation before you. What matters is whether you'll use it, whether you'll value yourself enough to learn something that helps you live better, whether you'll commit to growth, even when no one is watching. Let each day be a new opportunity to study something that helps you build that habit now. Don't let your days pass you by. Use them, shape them, learn something that matters, and let that knowledge show up in how you live.
Number 6. Practice one skill until you master it completely. The path to success is built one skill at a time. It's not about knowing everything. It's about doing something so well that it becomes part of who you are. That's how you build a foundation that can't be shaken. Pick a skill that matters to your goals, to your daily life, to your future, then work on it until you own it, until it feels natural, until it becomes second nature. That's the kind of progress that lasts. Most people jump from one thing to the next. They get excited, they try something for a while, then they move on before getting good. But growth doesn't happen when you dabble. Growth comes from repetition, from discipline, from staying focused on one thing long enough to get results. When you practice a skill daily and stick with it, you start to separate yourself from the rest. Think about what matters to you. Do you want to be a better speaker? Then speak every day. Do you want to get fit? Then train with purpose. Do you want to manage your money better? Then study and apply what you learn. Whatever the skill is, it requires your time, your attention, and your full commitment. This is not about perfection. It's about progress that stacks up over time. You get stronger by doing, not by wishing, not by waiting. You have to be patient with yourself. You're not going to master anything overnight. It takes time to build muscle, to develop control, to gain understanding, but that time is worth it. Every minute you spend practicing something useful is a minute invested in your future. You are not wasting time. You are building strength, and that strength will serve you when it matters most. Mastery is not about being better than others. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about knowing that you can rely on yourself, that you've trained your hands, your mind, your focus to deliver under pressure. There's a deep confidence that comes from putting in the work. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. You'll feel it in the way you walk, the way you think, the way you handle challenges. Choose one skill. Just one. That's where you begin. Don't try to master 5 things at once. You'll burn out. You'll get distracted. Pick one and give it your full attention. The moment you do that, everything starts to shift. You'll begin to notice small improvements. You'll make fewer mistakes. You'll get feedback and use it. You'll study what works and try again. That's how growth looks. It's not glamorous, but it's real. You'll have days when you don't feel like practicing. Do it anyway. That's where the real development happens. Discipline is forged when motivation is missing. You don't rise by doing the easy thing. You rise by doing what needs to be done. Even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when it's slow, because you know it's taking you somewhere. Think about how you'll feel once you've mastered something. Once you've trained yourself to be excellent in one area. That feeling stays with you. It carries into everything else you do. It sets a standard. You won't want to go back to average. You won't accept half effort. You'll expect more from yourself, and that will raise the quality of your life. When you practice one skill with full intensity, you start to understand the value of details. You notice what others miss. You correct your form. You refine your process. That level of awareness is powerful. It teaches you to be sharp, to pay attention, to move with purpose. Those lessons stay with you even after you've mastered that skill. They shape your character. Don't be afraid to struggle. Struggle means you're learning. If it feels difficult, that means you're stretching your ability. Stay with it. Frustration is part of the process. Confusion is part of the process. That's how your brain rewires itself. That's how you grow. You don't get better by avoiding discomfort. You get better by facing it and doing the work anyway. There's a moment in your practice when things start to click, when you stop thinking and start flowing, when your hands move without hesitation, when your words come out with clarity. That moment comes after hours of quiet repetition, after mistakes, after setbacks, after effort. And when it comes, it feels right. It feels earned. You know you didn't shortcut your way there. You built it, and no one can take that from you. Practicing one skill deeply also sharpens your focus. It trains your mind to stick with things. In a world that wants to pull your attention in every direction, this is a rare and valuable strength. When you can focus on one thing for a long time, you become more productive. You make better decisions. You stop chasing distractions and start building something real. The skill you choose doesn't have to impress anyone. It just needs to matter to you. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's coding. Maybe it's leadership. Maybe it's cooking. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you choose and commit, that you decide your growth is worth the effort, that you show up for yourself every day and give your best. You'll be surprised how much progress you can make in just a few months. When you do something every day, it adds up fast. You start to notice improvement. People around you notice too. They see the way you carry yourself, the results you produce, the pride you take in your work. That respect is earned, not by talk, but by effort. Mastering one skill also gives you clarity. It shows you what you're capable of. It builds momentum. Once you've done it once, you know you can do it again. That confidence carries into other areas of your life. You start to believe in your ability to grow. That belief is the foundation of a strong and successful life. Don't let the world rush you. Don't let other people's timelines distract you. Move at your pace, but never stop. Keep showing up. Keep practicing. Keep sharpening your edge. One day you'll look back and realize that what once felt hard is now easy. That what once confused you is now clear. That's what mastery feels like. And it only comes through commitment. If you want to live with strength, study your craft. If you want to create something meaningful, learn how to do it well. If you want to lead, then earn that right by developing your skills. The world does not hand out excellence. You have to earn it, day by day, repetition by repetition, choice by choice. When you commit to one skill and see it through,
You build more than just competence. You build self-respect. You prove to yourself that you can finish what you start, that you can follow through, that you are dependable, that you are serious about your life. And that kind of character matters more than talent, more than luck, more than circumstance. You have everything you need to begin. The only question is, will you do it? Will you take that one skill and work on it until it becomes yours? Will you give yourself the gift of mastery, the chance to be great at something, not for approval but for the strength it builds in you? That's the kind of choice that changes lives.
Number 7. Ask one question every day to grow your thinking. One of the most powerful ways to change your life is to train your mind to ask questions. Not just any questions, but questions that challenge how you see the world, how you understand yourself, and how you decide what to do next. You grow by thinking deeper, and you think deeper when you stop assuming and start asking. A good question can lead to clarity. A good question can open new doors. It can help you see what you were missing. It can lead you to answers you didn't even know you were looking for. Most people go through their days on autopilot. They do what they're used to. They react to what's in front of them. They follow routines that never get questioned. And when you stop questioning, you stop evolving. Growth comes from curiosity. Curiosity keeps you sharp. Curiosity keeps you alive. It pushes you to look past the surface and find what really matters. When you ask yourself one thoughtful question every day, you give your mind a reason to expand. You invite awareness. You force yourself to reflect. That small act, done daily, changes how you think. And when how you think changes, everything else in your life begins to shift. You don't see things the same way anymore. You start to notice what you used to ignore. You start to catch patterns, understand cause and effect, and take more control of your decisions. Ask yourself questions like, why did I react that way today? What can I learn from this mistake? What do I need to improve right now? Who am I becoming? What kind of life do I really want? These aren't random thoughts. These are deliberate prompts that sharpen your thinking. They help you see where you're strong, where you're weak, and where you can do better. That kind of self-awareness is rare, but it's available to anyone who's willing to ask and reflect. You don't need all the answers. You need the right questions. Answers will come when you keep asking, keep digging, keep exploring. The questions are what stretch your mind. They are what keep you from settling. The moment you stop being curious, you start falling behind. You don't have to have big breakthroughs every day, but if you challenge your own thinking even a little, that effort adds up over time. Questions lead to perspective. They remind you that you don't know everything, and that's a strength, not a weakness. The people who grow the most are the ones who stay humble enough to admit they still have more to learn. They don't fake confidence. They build it by learning, by listening, by observing, by asking. Asking one question every day trains you to pause. It teaches you to step back and examine what's going on. Instead of reacting impulsively, you create space to think clearly. That space can prevent a lot of mistakes. It can help you make smarter choices. It can calm your emotions and sharpen your focus. And it all starts with one simple question. This habit doesn't require a notebook or a fancy plan. Just stop once a day and ask yourself something that matters. Don't rush to answer it. Sit with it. Let it challenge you. Let it bring things to the surface. Some days the question might feel uncomfortable. That's how you know it's working. Growth begins where comfort ends. The questions you ask determine the direction of your mind. If you ask shallow questions, you'll get shallow answers. But if you ask honest, clear, purposeful questions, you'll uncover insights that change how you live. For example, instead of asking why things always go wrong, ask what you can do differently. Instead of blaming others, ask how you can respond better. That shift in focus gives you back your power. Each question you ask is like a tool. One tool might help you fix a habit. Another might help you see a new opportunity. Another might show you a blind spot you've been ignoring. Over time, you'll build a toolkit of questions that serve you well. Questions that help you make progress, not excuses. Questions that lead to action, not confusion. You don't need to impress anyone with your questions. This isn't about sounding smart. It's about being honest with yourself. Asking yourself, what's holding me back right now? Or what am I afraid to face today? Can reveal more than a week of small talk. Be real with yourself. That's where growth starts. Pretending gets you nowhere. Facing truth, even when it's hard, gives you strength. This habit will also change how you listen. When you train yourself to ask questions, you start listening with more attention. You stop assuming you know everything. You become more open. You become more willing to understand others. That kind of mindset builds stronger relationships. It builds trust. It shows people that you care about more than just being right. Some days your question might lead to a breakthrough. Other days, it might simply remind you to slow down. That's okay. The point is to stay engaged with your own mind, to keep learning, to keep reaching. You are not stuck. You are not finished. There is always another level of growth waiting, if you're willing to go after it. Asking questions also protects you from stagnation. People who stop growing often do so because they think they already know enough. They close the door on new information. They stop examining their beliefs. They settle into habits that no longer serve them. But when you keep questioning, you stay flexible. You stay open. You give yourself permission to evolve. You don't have to have long conversations with others to make this work. The most powerful conversations are often the ones you have with yourself. Sit quietly for a moment. Ask something meaningful. Then listen to what comes up. The more you do this, the more you'll understand your thoughts. The more you'll notice your patterns. And the more control you'll have over your life. If you start this habit today, and stay consistent, you'll be amazed at how your thinking grows. You'll start making better decisions. You'll avoid traps you used to fall into. You'll catch your own excuses before they derail you. You'll start asking better questions, and that will lead you to better results. Think about the kind of person you want to become. Now ask yourself what that version of you would be thinking about today. What would they be questioning? What would they want to understand better? That's where you begin. That's how you align your growth with your goals. Not by waiting, not by guessing, but by asking and thinking clearly. Train yourself to go deeper than the surface. Ask why something matters. Ask how it works. Ask where it leads. Ask what you're missing. The more curious you become, the more alive you feel. That's the kind of mindset that leads to real success. That's how you stop living on repeat and start living on purpose. A single question can change how you see yourself. It can challenge a belief that's been holding you back. It can open a path you didn't know was there. That's why this habit matters. That's why you must make time for it. Because your growth is your responsibility. No one else is going to think for you. No one else can do your growing. That's your job.
Number 8. Review your goals and adjust your learning daily. If you want to win in life, you can't just set goals once and walk away from them. You have to look at them every single day. You have to remind yourself what matters. You have to ask yourself whether what you're learning today is helping you get there or not. Most people lose their way, not because they don't have dreams, but because they don't stay connected to them. They write their goals down once, maybe at the beginning of the year, then they close the notebook and forget. You can't grow like that. You can't build anything that lasts with that kind of weak commitment. Growth requires focus, and focus is a daily decision. When you review your goals every day, you keep your purpose in front of you. You don't allow the noise of the world to distract you. You bring yourself back to what really matters. That daily review reminds you of your direction. It tells you whether you're aligned or drifting. And if you're drifting, you don't wait for a disaster to correct it. You adjust early. You make the shift before it costs you too much. Your learning must match your goals. You can't just consume information at random and expect results. You need strategy. You need to ask yourself, is what I'm learning today helping me move toward what I say I want? Because if it's not, then you're wasting time. Every piece of knowledge you take in should have a purpose. It should have a reason for being in your mind. That's how you grow efficiently. That's how you make real progress. Think about how much time people waste learning things they'll never use.
watching things that don't help, listening to things that don't teach, reading things that don't serve, then they wonder why they feel stuck. They wonder why nothing is changing. It's because they're learning without direction. When you review your goals daily, you stop that. You filter your input. You get clear about what you need to know now, not later. This habit builds discipline. It teaches you to stay honest with yourself. When you look at your goals daily, you can't lie to yourself for long. You can't keep saying you want one thing while doing the opposite. The truth will be right in front of you. You'll feel it. And that discomfort will drive you to either let go of the lie or change your behavior. That's power. That's how you take back control. Adjusting your learning doesn't mean throwing everything out. It means being intentional. It means asking yourself, what skill do I need to get closer to my goal? What knowledge gap is slowing me down? What mindset do I need to develop? Then you seek out the answers that fit. You don't waste energy on what doesn't matter right now. You go straight to the source. You study with urgency. You learn with direction. This daily review also builds clarity. The more you return to your goals, the more you refine them. You might realize one of your goals isn't actually what you want anymore. You might discover a deeper reason behind your ambition. You might change your timeline based on new insight. That's not failure. That's intelligence. Adjusting is not weakness. It's maturity. It's the sign of someone who's paying attention, someone who's awake, someone who's serious about growth. You can't control everything in life, but you can control your learning. You can choose what you feed your mind. You can shape your attention. You can decide what you focus on. And when you tie that focus to your goals, you stop drifting. You stop reacting. You start building. You start moving on purpose. That's how you gain momentum. Not through chance, through clarity and commitment. Make it a habit to ask yourself at the end of each day, did I learn something that helped me move forward? If the answer is no, don't get mad. Just get sharper. Fix it tomorrow. Choose better. Choose with your goals in mind. That's how you turn every day into an investment. That's how you make your time count. You will find that the more you do this, the more efficient you become. You won't need to waste energy second-guessing yourself. You'll know where you're going. You'll know why you're learning what you're learning. You'll know what matters and what doesn't. That kind of mental clarity is rare, but it's available. And it comes from this daily habit. There's something powerful about writing your goals down each morning and reviewing them each night. That rhythm keeps your vision fresh. It keeps your mind focused. It keeps your motivation alive. And when you combine that with learning that's directly tied to those goals, you start compounding progress. One lesson builds on the next. One insight connects to another. You grow faster because you're growing with intention. Most people are waiting for the right time to change. You don't need the right time. You need the right direction. And that comes from review, from checking in, from asking yourself, am I on track or off course? Is my mind learning what it needs or just drifting through distractions? When you start asking those questions, you take your power back. There's nothing magical about growth. It's just a result of habits done consistently. Reviewing your goals and adjusting your learning is one of those habits. It keeps you from wandering. It keeps you from wasting time. It gives your mind structure. And when your mind has structure, it works better. It focuses. It solves problems. It finds solutions. You don't need to learn everything at once. Just learn what matters most today. And to know what matters most, you have to review your goals. Without that review, you'll get lost in information. You'll get overwhelmed by choices. You'll chase too many paths at once. But with daily review, you'll stay anchored. You'll stay centered. You'll know exactly what deserves your time. Make this a non-negotiable part of your day. Just 5 minutes to reconnect. 5 minutes to reset your focus. 5 minutes to ask, what's the next best thing I can learn that moves me closer to my goal? That question alone will change how you spend your time. It will sharpen your attention. It will elevate your results. This habit will also help you stay motivated. When you see your progress, even small steps, you'll build confidence. When you feel the connection between your goals and your daily actions, you'll build pride. You'll start to believe in your ability to create change. That belief is fuel. That belief is what separates those who try from those who persist. This is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing up for yourself, with honesty and intention. It's about owning your growth, not leaving it to chance, not waiting for someone else to push you, but doing it because it matters to you, because your future is worth it, because your goals are not just ideas, they are instructions, they are a path, and the only way to walk that path is to stay connected to it daily. Growth is not random. It's a decision to learn what matters, a decision to stay focused, a decision to adjust when needed. And that decision must be made again and again, every single day.
Number 9. Teach someone one thing you learned every day. The greatest way to grow what you know is to give it away. When you teach someone something you've learned, you're not just helping them, you're helping yourself. It forces you to get clear. It makes you pay attention to what really stuck with you. It deepens your understanding. That's why teaching is not a task. It's a tool. It's a tool for personal growth. You don't have to be a professor to do this. You don't need a stage or a crowd. All you need is the willingness to share. Share one lesson, one insight, one thing that made you better today. There's power in simplicity. If you learn something valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend. Tell your brother, text your coworker, speak it out loud. Turn it into a message, not to impress them, but to remind yourself that learning is a responsibility. If it helps you, it can help someone else. And when you make it a habit, it changes how you learn. You start listening differently. You start reading more carefully. You begin to ask better questions, because you know you're going to teach it. When you explain an idea to someone else, you find out quickly if you understand it yourself. You can't hide behind vague words or empty phrases. You have to get to the point. You have to make it make sense. That mental effort strengthens your thinking. It builds mental discipline, and it shows you the areas you need to revisit. That's how you turn learning into mastery. Teaching also builds your communication. It improves how you express ideas. It sharpens how you organize thoughts. And that's not just helpful. It's necessary. Because in life, the ability to explain ideas clearly is one of the most important skills you can build. Whether you lead a team, raise a child, build a business, or mentor someone, your words matter. The more you practice sharing what you know, the more effective you become at helping others understand. Now, you don't need a complicated method, just a simple habit. Ask yourself every day, what did I learn today that could help someone? Then look for the chance to share it. Maybe it's a 5-minute conversation. Maybe it's a short voice note. Maybe it's a reply in a message thread. The format doesn't matter. The habit does. Once you turn this into part of your routine, your awareness will shift. You'll start looking for value in everything you learn. You'll start paying attention to the lessons in each experience. You'll care more about the quality of your learning because now you're not just learning for yourself, you're learning for others. And you don't have to wait until you're an expert. You just have to be one step ahead. If you learn something that helped you, it's enough to pass on. Some of the most impactful lessons people hear don't come from books. They come from conversations, from real people sharing what's real. That's what sticks. That's what hits home. When you teach others, you also build your confidence. You realize that what you're learning has weight, that your growth is real, and that feeling, that belief that you can offer value, it begins to change how you see yourself. You go from being a passive learner to an active contributor. You go from waiting to speak to being ready to share. That mindset shift is powerful. It turns you into a leader, not because of your title, but because of your actions. This habit also creates a ripple effect. You help one person grow, and maybe they help another. The knowledge spreads, the insight moves, and you become part of something bigger, something meaningful. This is how change starts, not with grand speeches, but with daily acts of sharing what's true and useful. Some days the lesson you share might be small, a technique, a shortcut, a phrase that changed how you think. That's fine. Don't underestimate small ideas. Shared often enough, they become stepping stones for someone else. And some days you might share a deeper truth, an emotional shift, a new perspective, a breakthrough you experienced. Those moments stick. They connect. They matter. Teaching every day also keeps you humble, because every time you share you realize how much more there is to learn. You see how deep a subject really goes. You begin to respect the process, and that humility keeps you grounded. It keeps you open. It keeps you hungry to keep growing. You're not here to hoard knowledge. You're here to pass it on. That's how wisdom spreads. That's how progress is made. Not by holding everything inside, but by opening up and letting others in. When you teach, you serve. When you serve, you lead. And when you lead, you grow. Each day brings you a chance to get better, and every lesson you learn carries power. But that power multiplies when you pass it forward. The more you give, the more you get. Not just from people, but from life itself. When you make a habit of teaching what you learn, life begins to teach you more. You get more insights. You notice more details. You grow faster because you're engaged at a deeper level. This habit also builds legacy, because every person you teach carries a piece of you. Every insight you share becomes part of their path, and when they share it, the impact continues. That's what legacy really is. Not just achievements, but influence. Not just what you build, but who you lift. Make this a part of who you are. Not just something you do once in a while, but something you live. Become the person who lifts others through knowledge, who takes their daily lessons seriously enough to pass them on. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. Real learning is not about having all the answers. It's about being willing to keep sharing the ones you do have. Think about what this world would look like if more people lived this way. If more people decided to share value instead of hiding it. If more people cared enough to teach one thing each day, the culture would shift. The standard would rise. People would grow together. That's the kind of change that matters. The kind that starts with you. You can do this even if you're busy. You don't need an hour. You need intention. Take a few minutes. Find the one insight that helped you today. Then give it away. Speak it. Post it. Share it face to face. However you can. The key is consistency. Keep doing it. Let your knowledge be useful. Let your growth become someone else's stepping stone. When you teach daily, you stop thinking only about yourself. You start thinking about contribution. You start thinking about your impact. And that kind of thinking transforms how you approach every area of life. It lifts your purpose. It sharpens your direction. It gives your learning a greater weight. Never underestimate the influence of one shared idea. That one idea could unlock someone's next step. It could save them from a mistake. It could inspire them to act. That's why your voice matters. That's why your lessons matter. And that's why teaching every day is not just a good habit. It's a responsibility.
Number 10. But if you choose to pause for a moment and reflect, you unlock something powerful, growth that sticks. You don't grow just because you live through the day. You grow when you sit down quietly and ask yourself what the day taught you. Not every day will feel like a breakthrough, but there is something to learn in every one of them. A decision you made, a conversation you had, a mistake you corrected, a truth you discovered. That's where wisdom begins. Not in the rush of living, but in the stillness of looking back. When you reflect, you take responsibility for your own learning. You stop waiting for someone else to point out what matters. You stop hoping that clarity will just arrive one day on its own. You start paying attention to your own life. And that kind of attention changes everything. It makes you more aware. It gives you understanding. It helps you connect the dots between what you're doing and where you're going. Reflection brings your thoughts into focus. Without it, your days blur together. They slip away, forgotten. You can work hard all day and still not know what you really gained. But when you pause, think, and write it down or say it out loud, the meaning comes forward. You begin to see what worked and what didn't. You see how your thinking is shifting. You recognize your own patterns. And once you know your patterns, you can change them. You can direct your growth. Take a few quiet minutes at the end of the day to ask yourself what stood out. What did you learn about yourself? What did you discover about others? What principle showed up that you had forgotten? What did you try that you'll do differently? next time. These questions are simple, but they unlock real growth. They train your mind to value clarity. They show you what's worth repeating and what's worth improving. This is how you rise, not through motion, but through reflection. You don't need a perfect process. You just need the discipline to sit still for a moment. No noise, no rush, just you and your thoughts. Maybe you write in a journal. Maybe you speak it out loud to yourself. Maybe you think about it while taking a walk. The method doesn't matter. What matters is that you do it, that you give yourself the gift of clarity. You'll notice something when you do this consistently. You'll start to feel more confident in your decisions. You'll trust your judgment more. Why? Because you're learning from your own life, instead of ignoring it. You're taking every moment seriously. That builds strength. That builds maturity. That builds insight. Most people keep repeating their days. Same thinking, same responses, same lessons missed. But when you reflect, you break that cycle. You evolve. Sometimes you'll notice progress. Other times you'll notice pain. But both are valuable. When you reflect on pain, you gain understanding. You stop blaming the world and start asking what you can change. When you reflect on progress, you build momentum. You start seeing what you're capable of. You stop overlooking the small wins. You stop depending on praise from others, because you're seeing your own growth. Reflection is also how you prepare yourself for tomorrow. It gives you a chance to reset, to learn from today and carry something wiser into the next step. Without reflection, you might keep making the same decisions that aren't serving you. You might stay busy, but not effective. That's why this habit matters. It keeps you honest. It keeps you awake to your own journey. Sometimes reflection will show you things that are hard to face. Maybe you wasted time. Maybe you lost your temper. Maybe you ignored something important. Don't turn away from that. Lean into it. Growth lives in discomfort. The people who grow the most are not the ones who get everything right. They're the ones who take an honest look at their day and decide to do better. They use their experiences, even the painful ones, to build character. Think about it. Every day gives you the chance to learn something that can shape your future, but only if you stop long enough to catch it. That's what reflection does. It catches the lesson before it slips away. It captures the wisdom so it doesn't get lost in the noise. And over time, those captured insights start to stack up. They become your guide. They become your internal compass. It's also worth remembering that no one can reflect for you. This is your responsibility. You can read books, attend seminars, listen to advice, but the most powerful growth comes from what you extract from your own experiences. You were there. You felt it. You made the choice. You saw the outcome. That makes the lesson personal, and personal lessons stay with you longer. If you want to grow consistently, then reflect consistently. Even 5 minutes a night can shift your whole direction. It's not about reviewing every detail. It's about finding meaning. One lesson, one shift, one moment of clarity. That's enough to push you forward with purpose. You'll also find that reflection increases your gratitude. As you look back over your day, you start to notice the good things you would have missed. A kind word, a solved problem, a moment of peace. These are the things that keep you balanced. They keep you grounded. They remind you that progress is not just about achieving goals, but about growing in awareness. Make this a part of your evening routine, not as a chore, but as a gift to yourself. Life is full of noise, and reflection is the quiet that helps you hear your own voice. It's the space that allows your thoughts to settle. It's the moment when your day becomes more than just a memory. It becomes a lesson. There's a kind of power that comes from knowing what your day taught you. It makes you more deliberate. It makes you more resilient. Because now, instead of reacting blindly, you're responding wisely. Instead of rushing forward without thought, you're moving forward with insight. As you build this habit, you'll begin to see how far you've come. You'll remember what used to confuse you. You'll recognize how your thinking has sharpened. You'll notice how your values have solidified. That kind of awareness gives you peace, not because life is easy, but because you know you're growing through it. You know you're learning from it. This practice also brings you closer to your goals. Every evening you get to check in with yourself. Are you moving in the right direction? Are your actions aligned with your values? Are you becoming who you set out to be? These questions are powerful. They keep you on track. They keep you connected to your purpose.
Let your life teach you. Let your days speak, and make time to listen. Every experience contains something worth knowing. If you're willing to slow down and look, reflection is not just looking backward. It's preparing yourself to move forward with more strength, more wisdom, and more clarity. Keep reflecting every single evening. Make it your anchor. Make it your standard. Make it your way of living better every day.